Welcome to Racing Across America for this Tuesday morning. I'm Seth Merrill. Thanks for joining us here. Coming up a little later on the show, it's Tuesday morning. That means it must be a visit from Tony Kalo at Finger Lakes. A little later on, Gary Johnson from Beulah Park will wind things up. Michael Chamberlain for Turf Paradise, each of them giving us some thoughts on racing at their various venues this afternoon. Stay tuned for all of that. Top of the show, a little look at some of the news and notes from the realm of horse racing. Before that, do want to remind you some things to keep in mind here at the Clubhouse Racebook and OTB in general. Again, do want to remind you one more time of the new Partners 8-Ball Pool League that is forming. That'll kick off in a couple of days, this Thursday. It'll be held Thursday nights starting December 5th. So again, it kicks off this Thursday. First matches will commence at about 6:30. So if you're an 8-ball pool player, come on down here to the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany, and enjoy the new 8-Ball Pool League. Again, it'll be held Thursdays down here at the Clubhouse Racebook, kicking off this Thursday night. December 7th, this Saturday, it is going to be the Capital Cup Championship, the last in the monthly handicapping contest held here at the Clubhouse Racebook for 2013. This is the wrap-up for this year. Capital Cup Championship, Saturday, December 7th. The winner will receive a prize package that includes a seat to the NTRA Daily Racing Forum National Handicapping Championship in Las Vegas. $200 entry fee, maximum of 3 entries per person. You can find out more info on capitalotb.com. And speaking about capitalotb.com, you can go there, sign up, also capitalotbbet.com, sign up and become a Capital Bets wagering account holder. If you're not already, still a good time to do it. The Bet 50, Get 50 promotion holds. Once you sign up for your Capital Bets wagering account, as soon as you bet 50 into your account, Capital OTB puts another $50 in. So again, if you're not a Capital Bets account holder yet, great time to do it. All right, getting to some of the racing news. Mike Watchmaker's weekly Watchmaker Watch, the weekly divisional ratings he puts out, they're kind of interesting. It's only one man's opinion, but he breaks down the various Eclipse categories and gives his opinions, and I bring it up because under the 3-year-old male category, he has Will Take Charge on top. I think he's right in the realm of everybody else after the Clark handicap. I think the 3-year-old Eclipse was sewn up on Friday afternoon at Churchill Downs. Will Take Charge, I think, now is the distinct leader in that division for an Eclipse, a 3-year-old male Eclipse. And I bring this up, as I say, Mike Watchmaker, you can get his weekly ratings, which came out yesterday, I think. I have them linked also up on Equidaily. But I bring it up because there was an interesting column, Sports Network, the syndicator, Don Agris, a horse racing editor for Sports Network, they had a syndicated column out yesterday, did Don Agris, asking, Will Take Charge has now probably secured the Eclipse Award as champion 3-year-old of 2013, but has he put himself into the discussion for Horse of the Year? On Sunday's Loose on the Lead, my partner Steve Bick said he was hearing after the Clark some scuttlebutt on the internet about this, with Will Take Charge possibly being considered a Horse of the Year candidate. The Agris article quotes Bob Baffert of all people. After Game On Dude was defeated by Will Take Charge, the quote is, he's got to be considered. He, meaning Will Take Charge. Will Take Charge has to be considered seriously for Horse of the Year because that was pretty impressive. Speaking of the Clark win, Dwayne Lucas said, if I'm reading the headlines right, Game On Dude was in contention for Horse of the Year. If that's the case, we just beat a darn nice horse. And so Lucas is also thinking, excuse me, to me it's a long shot. After the Clark, Will Take Charge's 2013 record, 11 starts, 5 wins, couple second place finishes, no thirds, just under $3 million. Now, certainly strung together some decent races. The Grade 1 Travers, the Grade 2 Pennsylvania Derby, the Grade 1 Clark, second in the Grade 1 Breeders' Classic, a great end to the season. Fizzled in the Triple Crown races, however. Early season, he won the Smarty Jones down at Oaklawn, also the Grade 2 Rebel. You know, it's a decent record. I'm not sure that's a Horse of the Year record when you compare looking at Wise Dan and what he did this year. 7 starts, 6 wins. Again, will take Charge's record, 11 starts, 5 wins, a couple second-place finishes. Wisdan completes the year, 7 starts, 6 wins, 1 second-place finish. As far as money, they're fairly comparable, with Will Take Charge being at $2.9 million, again, close to $3 million. Wisdan, $2.7 million. To me, this it would be tough for me to pull the trigger on Will Take Charge. I can kind of see people making that argument, but I don't think it's a very strong argument, in my opinion anyway. Again, it will be fun to see how this plays out, just a discussion over the next month or so before the voting actually finalizes, and then we'll see what happens after the first of the year when the eclipses are announced. Speaking of eclipses, nice article in the Racing Form by Dave Grenny. Title, Castellano could get eclipsed by Stevens. And this is interesting because Javier Castellano, our buddy on the Handicappers Report, Anthony Mormino, has been a big fan of Castellano for quite a while and was raving about him again yesterday after a good weekend for Javier Castellano. But entering the final 4 weeks of 2013, Castellano first in the nation in races won and first in purse earnings. And you would have to think he is in pretty good shape for an Eclipse Award. He's been right there in the mix for the last couple of years. He's been a finalist the last 2 years. He believes it's probably his turn to take it home, but I think he also realizes, as the article says, there is the specter of Gary Stevens looming. And Stevens only won 66 races, but 22 of those came in stakes races, including the Preakness aboard Oxbow, the Breeders' Cup with Mucho Macho Man, and the Breeders' Cup Distaff on Beholder. You fold that into the story of the comeback out of retirement, it's going to be very interesting to see. I think Gary Stevens is going to get a little bit of push. There will be some folks who, because of that story coming out of the retirement and the strong list of stakes he won this year, Gary Stevens will certainly get some support there. But boy, it would be a shame off of a big season Castellano put together. We'll see how that shakes out, though, as well as we get closer to Eclipse time, Eclipse voting final time, and then when the Eclipse Awards get announced. I think, what do they usually announce those, middle of January? So we're probably a month and a half away or so. Interesting news out of the New York franchise oversight meeting that was held yesterday. They announced something that will affect folks up here. The admission up at Saratoga is going to be bumped. The admission price goes from $5 to $8, a 60% increase. That's kind of interesting. Also bumping the admission down at Belmont Park. So we'll keep our eyes on the fallout for that. They're looking at, they have the slots money now, but they're looking at using slots money to promote the sport, not necessarily to support the sport. So they're looking at ways to add revenues, cut costs, and that came out in the meeting, and part of that is going to be admissions costs bumping up. Also, very interesting, they announced the schedule for the new year. Starting on January 13th, Aqueduct will start to race on Mondays. They'll do so for 11 weeks through the end of March. They're going to run on Mondays, cut out Wednesdays, and I think it could be a crafty move. And what Chris Kay, the head of NYRA, said, it's an experiment, and rather than look at things and say, well, maybe we'll try this at some point and we'll see how it works, seems like a good idea. Let's do it, and let's actually get some numbers on paper and see if it works. Mondays currently are a day where certainly an A venue like Aqueduct would be a focus of a lot of players, because there is not a big track currently on the Monday or Tuesday schedule, really. So Aqueduct could do themselves a favor. It will be very interesting to see how their handle is affected. Again, January 13th, they'll start running Mondays at Aqueduct, and will do so through the end of March. Also at the meeting, they talked about 2014 at Saratoga, same 40-day meet. According to Christopher Kay, the quote is, there is no suggested change in the number of days we run at Saratoga. So next year at Saratoga, pretty much the same as we've seen over the past few years, that 40 days. Let's take a look at a couple of races before we go to our first break for this morning. A couple of races that we probably wouldn't have a chance to look at otherwise. Called up 2 races from Sunday, the Turf Festival out at Hollywood Park, the final Turf Festival at Hollywood Park, as Hollywood Park will be no more when this current meet closes. First up, we're going to take a look at the Hollywood Derby. This is, of course, being a Derby. It is a race for 3-year-olds. They're going to go 1.25 miles on the turf. We're going to watch the stretch run here. You're going to see the number 5, Seek Again, get it done. Number 6, Admiral Kitten, will run second. Number 8, Amen Kitten, will run third. And Seek Again comes over from Europe for Juddmonte and John Gosden. Kind of surprising that this one got away at 5-1, being a Gosden Juddmonte connections, and a Euro coming over on the turf here. The 5-1 was kind of interesting. The favorite was the horse that ran second, 3-1, so obviously not an overwhelming favorite. It was a competitive race, but that was Admiral Kitten for the very potent Ken Ramsey. And Admiral Kitten was coming out of a near second place finish in the Jamaica Handicap. Prior to that, had won at Arlington Park in the Secretariat. So Admiral Kitten, definitely a very potent contender in that 3-year-old turf subdivision. So no problems there with that one being the favorite, I suppose. But again, seems like they let Seek Again get away at a $12.40 win payoff, coming in for very potent international connections from Juddmonte, being a horse coming in from Europe, getting it done in the first United States start out there in the Hollywood Derby. The surprise also was the third place finisher, perhaps. Admiral Kitten runs second. Amen Kitten runs third. Admiral Kitten was Ken Ramsey going out for Mike Maker. Amen Kitten was Ken Ramsey going out for Wesley Ward. Admiral Kitten was the 3-1 favorite. Amen Kitten was the 39-1 rank outsider in the field. And Amen Kitten was coming in off a win in the Tropical Park Derby. So you had Wesley Ward, Ken Ramsey, and a horse coming in off a grass stakes victory at 39-1. But it gets up there and gets the third place position. So again, Seek Again could be interesting to watch going forward on the turf coming out of that Hollywood Derby victory. Betfair Hollywood in a later race on Sunday. Another horse that's going to be interesting to watch going forward, already has attracted some attention for me, is Egg Drop. This was the matriarch for 3-year-old and up fillies and mares, grade 1 event on Sunday. $250,000 purse on the turf at 1 mile. Egg Drop, the number 1 horse, will get it done here. And again, they let this one get away at 10-1. Egg Drop has been very, very good since moving to the turf 4 starts back. 3 wins and a second-place finish coming into this race. And just noses out Discreet Mark for Christophe Clement. Of course, Discreet Mark, the very, very talented New York bred. So maybe a little bit of a disappointment for the folks in the New York bred program, but really no disgrace because, as I say, Egg Drop is turning out to be a really, really nice turf filly, 4-year-old filly out there in Southern California. Moved to the turf again, as I say, 5 starts back now, and so far 4 wins and a close-up second-place finish. So as I say, no disgrace for Discreet Mark. Nice second-place finish there on Sunday out at Hollywood in the matriarch for that one. So there are a couple of races from Southern California over the weekend that were worth taking a look at. All of that is going to bring us to our first break. Again, a little later on, we're going to have Michael Chamberlain from Turf Paradise, also Gary Johnson from Beulah. They'll give us some thoughts on their particular venues. But right after this, Tony Kalo and Finger Lakes. Stay tuned.
I'm Mark Cassano. Join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch. We'll inform, analyze, and welcome in the biggest names in racing. So join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch, right here on the OTB Television Network.
Hey race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
Wagering at CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Capital Bet TV, the fastest and easiest online wagering experience where you can monitor 5 different tracks simultaneously. 2. Capital Bet Express. Its straightforward program layout and interactive handicapping information lets you build your wager quickly and efficiently. And 3. Capital Bet Pro, designed especially for the professional horse player. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
The Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back. That's right, the 2013 Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back, and it's your chance to win thousands in cash and prizes and a seat at the 2014 National Handicapping Championship in Las Vegas. This month, the Capital Cup on December 7th. So sign up today online at capitalotb.com or stop in at the Clubhouse Racebook. And don't forget our Showviver series, Capital OTB's online handicapping contest.
I'm Anthony Mormino. Join me weekdays at 9 for the Handicappers Report. We'll handicap the top tracks across the country and help you prepare for the day in racing. That's the Handicappers Report, weekdays at 9, only on the OTB TV network.
Welcome back to Racing Across America on this Tuesday morning. Happy to be joined now, as we are every Tuesday, by Tony Kalo of Finger Lakes, although those days are dwindling down, Tony. One more Tuesday, correct?
One more Tuesday. We wrap it up 1 week from today. Now, it should be noted that we're going to have 10 race cards for the rest of the season, the final 6 racing days. And then starting on Friday, next Monday, and next Tuesday, we have a 12 noon post.
Okay.
So we're going to scoot it up just 15 minutes earlier next week, or later this week, Friday, and then obviously the last 2. So I just want to let the fans know that.
Good to know. And we were talking a little bit during the break, Tony. Have a good Thanksgiving.
Had a great Thanksgiving. No complaints other than my Raiders couldn't bring in the W. They played good, though.
Well, as a Jets fan, I don't even want to talk about the weekend. I've given up. I've moved on to Syracuse basketball. It's that season. It's that season for me. Give folks a little look at what the weather forecast might be out there this afternoon.
Well, I think we're trying to heat up a little bit. I say that with a smile on my face, but the snow is trying to melt. The sun is out. We were muddy with a steel track yesterday. I'm not at the track right now, but I got a feeling the track's going to be right around good. That would be my anticipation, because it is going to start to warm up a little bit the next couple days.
And you and I were texting back and forth about today's show yesterday, but did note it did seem to have a little bit of a speed bias. If things got a crazy up front, a horse could come from behind. There were a couple of crazy results. But if it looked like if horses opened up and got a little breather on the backstretch, they were tough to reel in.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that assessment. You know, the route race yesterday that had the Suffolk Down Invader win, they went pretty quick early, and she was last, made a nice move. And but for the most part, I thought speed was where you wanted to be. You wanted to be a little forwardly placed. But with that said, you know, if you get the pace up front, you can close, and if a horse tends to his business early and puts the field to sleep, you know, so it's been pretty good. It's been a pretty fair racetrack, I'd have to say, to the last couple months.
And I also enjoyed the last race and the call in the last race. In the morning on the Handicappers Report, I picked Shashir Ego, and I have to admit, I didn't even notice it was start number 49. But how about that? Gets it done in start number 45 of the career, 49 of the career.
Yeah, you know, that's the kid in me, the enthusiasm I have for horse racing. You get a horse like Shashir Ego, who's 0 for 48, and you know she gets the lead. It gets to the 3/16, and you're like waiting for her to call it a day. And yesterday, at about the 8th pole, between the 8th pole and 16th, I said to myself, she's going to win today, and I kind of had to root for her in my call. And I don't care if anybody thought I was biased or what, but it's good to see a horse like that finally get to the winner. The agony of defeat 48 times, but the thrill of victory in the final time.
Yeah, and it's just, like I said, I picked the horse in the morning, and it certainly, as I say, I didn't realize it was start number 49, but I certainly realized this was a horse that had lost a number of times just by looking at the printed PPs on the page. And sometimes they just find a field they can get it done with, and that was the case yesterday. Speaking of horses,
with no disrespect to all the other horses and their connections, what was that field like? She's 0 for 49, 0 for 48, and she keeps going. So she's been coming around though. She got a nice jockey change from Dayanara Pizarro, who's a bug girl, to Paul Nickel Jr., who's won a lot of races here at Finger Lakes, and Paul did a good job. So, you know, it was her day, and I'm happy for her.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of hard-knocking horses, the Finger Lakes held their HBPA awards dinner a couple of weeks back, and I pulled up the list of award winners for the season at Finger Lakes. I thought we'd take a look at a couple of the hard knockers you got a chance to see up there multiple times this year, Tony. And first up, we're going to watch a win by Frisky Warrior. This was back on October 24th. Starter optional claiming event going 6 furlongs. Frisky Warrior gets it done by about 2 lengths in here as the 3 to 5 favorite. And Frisky Warrior named the horse of the year at Finger Lakes.
You know, Frisky Warrior is a nice horse. Ralph D'Alessandro has done a great job with him. He brought him here last year, and he made his presence felt immediately. Frisky Warrior, very solid campaigner. Between him and Sunday on Sunday, I thought Sunday on Sunday was the better 3-year-old sprinter last year. This year, Frisky Warrior definitely improved his game. And basically, if you throw out the Barker, he pretty much danced every dance he had to. And a worthy winner of our horse of the year this year, Frisky Warrior.
And I'll also note that the horse that was voted best older filly or mare, E-Coach, on the card today, so we'll keep our eyes open for that. But also I found the category, a couple of categories. There's the filly category and the colt category, best $4,000 to $5,000 claimer, and I just had to show a race from the winner of the best $5,000 claimer in the male category, because these are the blue-collar horses that keep things going at racetracks day in and day out, and the horse voted in that category best of 2013. We're going to watch back on October 11th. Winner's Laugh get it done. This was a claiming event. Winner's Laugh this day was in for a $6,500 tag, but of course during the year had raced lower than that. Winner's Laugh gets it done by over 2 lengths, a generous 5 to 1 in here. But as I say, these are the workhorses that really make the programs day in and day out at a lot of tracks.
Yeah, I agree. Like, you know, yesterday's race with Boston Chief, those type of horses, those are the bread and butters. Those are what keep us going. And it's good that we award those type of horses with a special category at the end of the year. And Winner's Laugh definitely was the top male $4,000 horse of the year. Just very competitive each and every race he came to the post, and glad to see him get an award. Nice horse.
And I agree completely with that. I think it's fun if you're going to do year-end awards. These are the bread and butter horses that are out there filling the card each and every day. So it's fun to see those horses, and particularly their connections, get a little tip of the cap that they deserve. All right, Tony, let's take a look at some racing for this afternoon. I handicapped Finger Lakes on the Handicappers Report earlier. So once again, I'll be interested to see if there's a meeting of the minds. You've got the last 3 races today, and as noted, the rest of the programs at Finger Lakes, which again closes a week from today, but the rest of the programs will be 10 race cards. So the last 3 today kick off in race number 8, conditional claimer at the 4,500 level. They're going 6 furlongs. Your thoughts on this one?
And it should be noted, our late pick 4 will start in the 7th race. Normally it's 6th, but it's the 7th race. We lost last Wednesday due to the snow, so we're going to add 10 races for the rest of the card. 8th race, I like the entry and Majestic Dreamer. Going to give a little bit of an edge to the entry with Shifty, my main pick. I loved her race 2 back. It was visually impressive, and obviously the Beyer boys thought so also. They gave her a very nice 62 Beyer. Most recently, I don't know what happened in the middle of November. I expected a better effort from her, especially the way she won. But one thing I've learned over the years here at Finger Lakes, 7,500 means a lot. At other racetracks, when you go from 75 down to 4, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Here at Finger Lakes, when a horse goes from 12.5 to 75, that's a big drop. And likewise, from 75 to 4, she just might be a $4,500 horse. I give her an edge. She has some speed with her stablemate and entry mate, BK Delilah, and the entree's not as good without something on the side. And we got 2 for the price of 1 here. If you're playing the pick 4 or late pick 3, the entry with Majestic Dreamer should get you out of that race.
Yeah, there's a fairly good meeting of the minds here. I got the same exact, just in different order. Just because both halves of the entry have those 60-plus Beyer figures that you can see over the past couple of races, but they look like a little bit of an aberration, so I wasn't quite sure. They fired those again today. They lay over this field, I think, but given just a little more consistency with Majestic Dreamer, but I'm in the same camp. I had it 5 to 1 entry, but I could go the other way just as easily. 9th race at Finger Lakes today, an allowance event. Fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. They're going to go 6 furlongs. I thought this was a little bit of an interesting race in that I put 2 Susans on top. I don't know they'll get that 4 to 1. I think that race from 2 Susans 2 back just showed she has all kinds of talent. And I think that last one maybe was a little bit of an aberration on that snowy day. I think 2 Susans looks very good in here. And I think that 4 to 1, boy, if we get that, it's going to be very generous. But what were your thoughts?
I like 3 horses in that race. I like Dark Desire. I like 2 Susans, and I like the 8 Lions Turn. There's nothing wrong with Two Susans. A very, very good-looking filly, long-legged, beautiful stride. She's done everything right with the exception of her route race in the New York Oaks. She's definitely a player. 4-1 seems way too generous, especially when you look at her odds in all of her races. She's much lower than that. And she's a major player, no question about it, at 4-1. Dark Desire had a good comeback victory on the 19th of October. She was away for over a year. Michael Espararo having a tremendous season, as he always does, especially towards the second half of the meet. Dark Desire, a player. I like the 8 Lions Turn. She will be my top selection. I just love the fact that this gal wins races. 38% win machine. 13 for 14. Top 2 here at Finger Lakes. She runs against good horses, and she's a player. I'd use those 3 horses, and you should move on. Lions Turn. 2-1, I don't like the price. I think the other 2 are offering more value, but I think the other 2 will get bet, and she'll drift up to the third choice.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to get hurt a lot. Look at her.
Yeah.
4-4. I'm sorry, go ahead, Seth.
Again, I've got the same ones in the mix, and I have no arguments with exactly what you said. Whenever you have a horse like Lions Terms, 14 starts on the track, and 13 of those have been exact. The finishes 8 wins. I put it down in the mix just a little bit. I have the same top 3. I've just juggled them up a little bit, but I have no arguments with your thoughts there either. 10th race today. Let's look at the 10th and another 4,500 conditional claimer. Fillies and Mayors, 3-year-olds and up. And the 10th, again, 6 furlongs.
Well, you know, the rail's 6-5. I'm going to try to beat her. Both those horses that she defeated raced yesterday, and they did not have a lot of success. I think Cataneros was a late-running minor of Placer, and Goon Squad was up there, but I think she faded a bit. So I'm going to try to beat the 1 at 6-5. I like the bottom horse, Little Miss Lupe. I don't really like the fact she doesn't win a lot of races, 2 for 18 with 6 seconds, but she faced a very good filly named Political Lady. There's another one on the card earlier today, I believe in the 6th race or 7th race, Princess Katrina, who also raced against Political Lady. That's good company line. Political Lady was dropping in to 45. She had already won a 75 N2L. And I think she had tried to, or she might have won a 45. Anyway, what I'm getting at is Political Lady, the strong company lines. Little Miss Lupe ran a good race in defeat against her, had an awkward start, was wide. I think she's got a good chance to turn the tables and get that 3rd victory today. The fact that she raced against Political Lady caught my attention. If you're looking for a long shot, I've got a long shot for you. That would be the 2, Miss Dretta. It's all providing that the racetrack's a little bit more towards fast than muddy. She's not an off-track specialist, 0 for 8. But if she gets a fast racetrack, I've seen this gal put in a nice, strong closing kick. Keep an eye on her at a big number. But I think Little Miss Lupe has solid company lines, and I'm going to give her the edge.
Yeah, I had Little Miss Lupe underneath. I put Martina Bride on top. But again, Little Miss Lupe, it could have gone either way there. Tony, got to ask you, are folks getting a little bit excited, maybe turning their attention to Hong Kong on the weekend with the Jeremiah Engelhardt King Carissa out there?
Yeah, you know, I think it's kind of flying a little under the radar out here, and I think, you know, we're going to have to let everybody know. And I'm glad you brought it up because King Carissa is going to be racing in Hong Kong. And I guess there were some travel issues. He got a little sick, but just had a little bit of travel sickness. But I guess he's doing okay. And pretty exciting. What a great year for Jeremiah. You know, going to the Breeders' Cup and winning a race there and now going to Hong Kong. Kids living a large life, that's for sure.
Yeah, I agree completely. That a guy who's based out of Finger Lakes, what a good year to have a horse like King Carissa and get sent out to Hong Kong like that. It's going to be fun to watch. And as you said, there was a little travel sickness, and the vets were going to watch him. But I saw on the Jeremiah Engelhardt Twitter feed yesterday that the horse has gone out and worked decently. So it seems like he's rebounded for that. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for King Carissa. Little Mike out there as well, giving some U.S. rooting interest. And I didn't mention earlier the Hong Kong International Jockeys Competition. Mike Smith, Gary Stevens are competing in that. That'll go off at about 7:40 a.m. tomorrow. It's Wednesday evening in Hong Kong. It's early Wednesday morning, our time. But Gary Stevens and Mike Smith in the International Jockeys Competition out there early tomorrow morning, our time. Tony, also got to ask you if you watched any of the weekend races and had any comments there. I know you're a guy, like most of us this time of year, we're keyed into the 2-year-old. So Remsen with Honor Code, Tapiture out in the Kentucky Jockey Club, or how about the Clark with Will Take Charge, or Flat Out in the Cigar Mile? Any highlights for you on the weekend stakes?
Yeah, great racing. Will Take Charge, I thought was sensational. I love that horse that he was able to get up, and really just a monster of an animal, and can't wait to see where he's going to go. I've been reading the articles, and the owner's all concerned because he wants to run them next year and trying to get this breeding deal done, which you can't blame him. But he's an absolute monster. I loved all the racing from Hollywood Park. It was a great 2-year-old race at Aqueduct that you mentioned. And I just wanted to bring it up. What about Christophe Clement? He lost a couple of heartbreakers with Suburb Front losing to Silentio, and then he loses to Street Mark against Egg Drop in the Matriarch. Could have been a huge weekend for him. Instead, he goes out to California and loses by 2 noses. Poor guy.
Yeah, you know what? I hadn't even put those 2 races together, but you're right. That was a tough beat weekend. We just watched Discreet Mark get caught by Egg Drop, who's turning out to be a very, very nice horse. So there's certainly no shame being beaten there. But you're right, that wrapped up kind of a tough weekend. Tony, certainly appreciate the visit this morning. Again, we got one more visit scheduled with you, so hopefully it's a great week, a great closing week for the folks up at Finger Lakes. But we'll catch up with you next week and maybe get a little meet recap and some selections again next Tuesday. But good luck this afternoon. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good, Seth. Thanks for having me.
All right, Tony Kalo from Finger Lakes. Take our next break. When we come back, Gary Johnson from Beulah. Stay tuned.
Missed one of our TV shows? No worries. Now you can catch all your favorite programs online. Simply log on to CapitalOTB.com and click on the YouTube link at the bottom of the homepage. And look for our new podcast coming soon. CapitalOTB.com. Log on today.
Fascinated by the world of horse racing? Interested in honing your handicapping skills? Class is in session. Night school, Monday nights. Easy to access online. It's free, interactive, and informative for the casual and serious race fan. Horse Player Now Buzz. Live horses to watch emailed to you daily. Our eyes, your prize. Night School in the Buzz. Visit horseplayernow.com for details.
Each morning on the OTB TV network, you get the very best in horse racing programming. Weekdays begin with the Handicappers Report, where professional handicappers share their selections and analysis of the day's racing. Followed by Racing Across America, a daily conversation with racing personalities from around the country. Saturdays include Down the Stretch, where Mark Casano speaks with the biggest names in racing. And Sunday mornings, it's Loose on the Lead, where Steve Bick and I offer news and a unique lineup of weekly guests. All here on the OTB TV network.
Funding your Capital OTB bet account is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Easy Money. Clearly the fastest and easiest method of depositing funds into your account. Make deposits or withdrawals in just minutes. 2. Green Dot Money Pack. Gives you instant access to your funds. Green Dot Money Packs are available at thousands of retailers nationwide. And 3. MasterCard Visa. Simply click on the link from the funding page, enter your account information, and fund your account. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
This is Steve Beck. Join me Tuesday through Saturday here on OTB TV for At the Races, my Sirius XM daily news magazine of the thoroughbred industry. Handicapping, interviews, analysis, everything you could want. 6 a.m. OTB TV.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. We are happy to be joined now by Gary Johnson at Beulah Park, and I always like to remind people you can find Gary Johnson's Beulah Park selections on their website each and every racing day. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning, Seth.
How was your Thanksgiving?
It was good. A little bit too much, but that's what it's about.
Yeah, we all did. Exactly. That is what it's all about. Gary, give our viewers a little idea what the weather's out in your area this afternoon.
Actually, a beautiful day today. It's going to be in the mid-50s. The track's fast at Beulah. Don't anticipate any weather problems related to any racing today.
Very good. And Gary, I mentioned this last week. We got you back on for the first time last week, so we were talking about other things, but I said we'd catch up with you, because certainly in the spring when you were regular with us, we were keeping up. You're a real handicap contest player now. Back in the day, you were one of the top trainers out there in the Midwest on that circuit that you cover now, and you've now shifted those same skills over to the handicapping portion, and certainly you do very well in these handicapping contests. So since we talked to you in the spring, what's the handicapping contest season been like?
Well, actually, I didn't play a whole lot during the summer, because I qualified for the NHC twice earlier in the year at Del Mar, so I was taking a little bit easier in the summer, but I did go out to the Breeders' Cup contest, which was by far the best one I've ever participated in. I didn't have any luck, but the atmosphere and it was pretty high in money, and so I was at San Antonio for the Breeders' Cup, and then this past weekend I went up to Hawk Point, Chicago. They had a contest Friday, Saturday, and Sunday,
Is
And,
there a limit on how many seats you can get to the year, the Las Vegas contest?
Yes, it's been one every year until this year, and then they upped it to 2. So you are allowed to qualify 2 times. So I will have 2 entries into the finals, and that is the limit. I'm kind of playing in the cash tournaments now, the ones that offer some cash.
Yeah, very good. And how'd you do out at Hawthorne?
I did okay. Saturday I finished 6th, which you play for the top 50. Actually, you do good because there's a lot of players. So Saturday I finished 5th, and Sunday I finished 14th. So I actually had a pretty good weekend. Hopefully I get a little hot here. Getting next month is the finals in Vegas.
Oh, that's a good point. Are you playing now just to hone the skills a little bit?
No doubt. I'm actually going to start following Tampa Opens on Wednesday. I'll be following Tampa throughout the winter. I like Turfway, so I'll start following tracks on a daily basis.
And I read a little bit about the Breeders' Cup contest, which, as you say, is a big money contest. That's a whole different bag of fish out there. But it came right down to the end, didn't it?
It did. I'm going to tell you reality. I was overmatched. It's like a little guy from let's say Beulah Park running at Aqueduct. I was overmatched because you have guys in there that don't care about money, and I play a lot, try to be consistent and keep a bankroll going. And these guys were firing. I mean, they were out of my league. They were betting. I think on this Rita Antonio, there was the guy bet 3,000 to win. The horse they put up in 2-year-old fillies. So 3,000. I could see betting 20.
Yeah. No, I'm right with you. That whole contest is out of my league, but it's fun to read about it and see what the folks did out there.
Oh.
And as you say, I'm assuming because it's big money, they're treating you pretty well.
Oh, I tell you what, it was first class. It was my first Breeders' Cup. My schedule has always been where I could never go, and it was my first one ever, and it was really, really great. And again, in the finals at the end of January, for anybody that hasn't been there or trying to get there, this is like the World Series of anything. Just the way everything is, the excitement at the NHC in January. And of course you're going for a couple $1 million, but another one, the atmosphere is electric.
Yeah, and we have some handicapping contests here at the Capital OTB Clubhouse Racebook, but being on television, working for them, I can't do them. But before I got on television, I did them fairly regularly. Other than that, there aren't a whole lot that are really close to me, so I don't get to play in those contests as much as I would like to, but I find them fun. You have to shift your handicapping concept a little bit and look for some value. So they're a lot of fun, and usually it's a good atmosphere. Everybody's competing, but there's some camaraderie, and everybody's looking at the leaderboard after the races, and they're kind of fun. I wish I could get a chance to play some more. I'll have to.
I think Capital OTB has one this weekend.
They do. The Capital Cup Championship. They've been having monthly contests all year long, and this is the culmination that will send somebody out to Vegas. So yeah, absolutely. All right, Gary, let's take a look at some of the racing at Beulah for this afternoon. We're going to kick things off by taking a look at the third race, $2,500 conditional claimer, non-winners a 2 lifetime, 3-year-olds and up. They will go a quick 5.5.
Yeah, I found a horse in here, the number 4, Bad Red, shipping in from Mountaineer. He's excellent. I call it a key race. I'm a really big key race person. I follow a lot of races. I like to catch horses. Their form might not be quite so good, but all the horses in front of them are coming back and doing racing really well. And Bad Red fits into that category. The 2nd, 4th, and 5th place horses, they all came back to win at Mountaineer. So I think Mountaineer's a little bit better racing than Beulah. Here's a horse comes out of a key race and ships to Beulah against lesser competition. I think he'll go wire to wire. He is my best bet today.
And let me ask you, speaking of key race, do you believe the opposite as well? Because I'm a key race guy myself, but every once in a while you find a negative key race as well.
There's no doubt. You'll find horses that win, and they'll probably never come back and ever win. And while we're speaking key races, this Breeders' Cup Classic I noticed over the weekend, every stake race was won by a horse out of the Breeders' Cup Classic past weekend. So I've been charting those, trying to find out these horses coming back, the horses that might have run 8th or 9th.
Yeah, you're right.
But I'm with you on the key race.
Yeah, you're right. Flat out, we'll take. Yeah, that is true. Golden Sense threw in a little bit of a clunker coming out of the Breeders' Cup Mile, but you know what? He had some trouble at the start of the race, as did Groupie Doll. And if folks go back and watch that Cigar Mile, Golden, I don't know whether they're going to beat Flat Out, but certainly Groupie Doll I think would have run better. She got in trouble behind Clearly Now and also had to kind of steady there.
Yeah, you're making a good point there. I think Flat Out won by kind of the fault. Maybe there was a little bit of trouble in there.
Yeah, when the Clearly Now held up, as I say, Groupie Doll was right behind it also. All right, the 4th at Beulah this afternoon, a calendar condition claimer, $3,500 tags, 3-year-olds and up. This time they're going 1.70 miles.
Going 1.70 miles. This is one of those races we're going to take what they're going to give us, and the one, Mr. Moreland, has speed. This Ralph Martinez is on fire. I mean, he just continues and continues to win. He's the kind of guy. Yesterday, he won a couple. He had a horse that was running kind of bad and just did a reversal. So I'm not going to go against him, and I think the horse From the Rail will go to the lead, and it looks like the best horse. So Mr. Moreland, not a real big surprise there, but if you're a gimmick player, I think the horse is single.
Yeah, and I kind of like that pattern, too, where a horse comes back off a little bit of a layoff, shows some speed, and just tires a little bit late. I think the next time they tend to be a little bit fitter. All right, this afternoon in the 7th race, $3,500 calendar condition claimer. These are 3-year-olds and up. Again, they'll go 6 furlongs.
Yeah, let's step it up a notch here and take a shot with a bomb. 7th race to 6, Crafty Scout. Coming out of a pretty good race, a lot of speed in there, and I think on November 18th was a huge outside bias. I mean, if you check the charts, they were all 9, 10, 11, 12, winning every race. Crafty Scout, duel between horses and give away a little late. So I'm looking today, maybe this horse can steal the race. We're probably going to have an even racetrack, so going to be a big price, Crafty Scout.
All right, I like that, 10-1. And as you're talking, I'm looking at the speed and what. Yeah, it looks kind of interesting. So now I will have to jump in that 7th at Beulah because Crafty Scout does look kind of fun. Gary, before we let you go, we talked a little bit about a couple of the stakes over the weekend, but were there any highlights? The 2-year-old races, Honor Code out at Churchill Downs, Tapiture. Anything stand out to you over the weekend?
Not really. Tapiture, I mean, he won easy. I mean, with the dominant factor against the 2-year-olds there, but the only thing I'm recalling all weekend thinking about is this trouble in that New York race, the cigar race. I'm thinking that some of the horses out of there probably would have had a little better form, but there was a lot of good racing. It was tough to keep up. I was playing in the contest, trying to watch everything, trying to gamble and do all the things at one time, but it was a fun weekend.
That's right. When you're in the contest, you have to have that laser focus. You can't be looking around too much.
You got to turn the page quickly.
Exactly. Gary, we certainly appreciate the visit this morning, as we always do. Good luck this afternoon. We'll talk to you next week.
Okay, thank you. Talk to you.
Gary Johnson from Beulah Park. We'll take our last break of the hour. When we come back, it's Michael Chamberlain from Turf Paradise. Stay tuned.
I'm Jeff Carl. Join me Saturdays and Sundays at 9 for the Handicappers Report. We'll handicap the top tracks across the country and help you prepare for the weekend in racing. That's the Handicappers Report. Weekends at 9, only here on the OTB TV network.
The future of online betting is here, and only at the all-new CapitalOTBBet.com. With a newly designed and engineered internet wagering platform, enhanced video streaming, additional funding options, and 3 new individual wagering opportunities, CapitalOTBBet.com delivers a state-of-the-art wagering experience found nowhere else in horse racing. Combine that with our all-new mobile website. You have 2 of the most powerful, innovative, and advanced wagering platforms available today. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Hey, race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
Using CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Simply log on with your username and password from the homepage. 2. Fund your Capital OTB account through our Easy Money, Green Dot, or Visa MasterCard options. And 3. Place your bet on one of our 3 easy-to-navigate wagering platforms, Capital Bet TV, Capital Bet Express, or Capital Bet Pro. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
I'm Steve Beck.
And I'm Seth Merrill.
Together, we're loose on the lead on Capital OTB, Sundays at 10 a.m. Why should they watch, Seth?
Sit down on Sunday, have a bagel, get some great racing conversation.
Cream cheese only, no jelly. Sundays, 10 a.m., loose on the lead, Capital OTB.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. Happy to be joined now by Michael Chamberlain at Turf Paradise. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning.
How was your Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving was fantastic. Did the family thing, did the girlfriend thing, so I covered all bases.
Very good, and hopefully filled up on some turkey and apple pie.
Did that as well, yes.
Because that's what it's all about. For folks who are playing Turf Paradise this afternoon, what's the weather forecast look like?
Well, we're going to have one more really nice day before that big cold front that's going to come sweeping through the west is going to come down and actually affect us as well. It's going to be 70 degrees and sunny, and we're looking forward to being fast on the track today. It should be another gorgeous day here in Phoenix.
Nice. That's what we like. The envy forecast for those. Although this morning wasn't too bad up. It wasn't 70, but it was livable up here. But it's getting to be that time of year. All right, Michael, before we get to this afternoon, I just wanted to kick back to last week because you certainly tossed us out a nice one last Tuesday in the ninth race down at Turf Paradise. We're going to pull up the stretch run to that ninth race where the horse you picked, the number one, Fine and Rare, is just going to get up and get it done. But at a nice 7-2, a $9 mutual, number one gets it done, Fine and Rare over the number two Truckin'. Your thoughts on the Fine and Rare were first Jeff Metz trainee, Jeff Metz high percentage, but also this is a horse by include out of a Tisnow mare, so there was a little bit of breeding there. And as I say, beyond that, a nice 7-2 price, and we're seeing the horse just get up in the shadow of the wire. Nice call.
Thank you, and that's two in a row because Lips did the exact same thing the week before, so we're hoping with the picks this week that maybe we get a little bit of an easier win, but we'll take those victories however we get them, but maybe a couple of ones that won't cause as much stress when they're coming down the lane.
Yeah, that one last week was crazy. There was no point in the race where you could think that one was going to win, but this one also very, very exciting. All right, let's give some folks a couple ideas for this afternoon. You're going to take a look at race number 7, which is a conditional claimer, $3,500 tags, non-winners of 2 lifetime. They are going 1 1/16 miles.
And we have another Jeff Metz trainee that we like here, just like Fine and Rare last week. This one is number 6, Allie Did It. And this horse is from the Metz barn, as you mentioned, the high percentage, 25%. The other thing to like about this horse is that lately he has been running exclusively in California. Has been going over at Santa Anita, Fairplex, Del Mar, at Betfair Hollywood. So he's been hitting all the hot spots there in Southern California. And while the performances haven't been superb, they haven't been completely atrocious either. They've been very fair to Midland, finishing 3rd, 4th, and 5th in each of the last 6 races. So some very steady performances from Allie Did It. He's coming down in company significantly here today. The first one for trainer Jeff Metz, now here at Turf Paradise. And I think that Allie Did It on the class drop. And with the change of scenery, I think also is going to really help this horse. And I like 6, Allie Did It in race 7.
Yeah, I've said it before, and I've probably said it to you before. This is what I call venue class relief as well. I get it a lot of times up here earlier on the handicapper support. I looked at Finger Lakes, and for me, the horse is coming up from the Naira circuit to Finger Lakes. You get some venue class relief, and then you add in the price class relief, and you get a double dose there. So I agree, Allie Did It looks very, very interesting in that 7th race. The 10th race today at Turf Paradise, another conditional claimer, 3,500 tags, non-winners of 3 lifetime. Fillies and Mares, they will go 3/4 mile.
And my choice in here is number 7, Spring Sarah. I mentioned my girlfriend earlier when I was talking about Thanksgiving. Coincidentally, my girlfriend's name is Sarah, and she spells it exactly that way. But beyond that, I still like the horse quite a lot because you have Robertino Diodoro as the trainer, Jorge Carreño as the rider, the leading trainer, and jockey teaming up here. And this horse hasn't won since running up at Ferndale in August, but the 3 races here at Turf Paradise has been well bet in each of those with the betting favorite 2 back and just missed on that occasion with the non-winner of 3 Company. Ended up running second, getting caught right at the end by a horse named Super Sassy, who, as I remember that race, was flying at the end because it looked like Spring Sarah was home free, but Super Sassy was able to run her down in the late stages. Came back and ran 4th the next time out, but if you look at the trip notes, the horse was 5 wide and still managed to close and get closer while still running 4th in a very contested race there. So I think with a better trip today, I think Spring Sarah will come through and get a win at Turf Paradise this afternoon for leading trainer Diodoro and leading rider Carreño.
Yeah, I am looking at the daily racing form percentages on trainer and rider. Trainer 38%, but maybe more importantly, 38% is pretty good. Occasionally you see trainers, particularly early in a meet, throwing numbers like that. Okay, but boy, you seldom see a jockey 30%.
And remember, at the start of the season here at Turf Paradise, Scott Stevens was the hot rider. Well, Scott is still winning races, but he's not winning them in the same level that Jorge Carreño has been winning them. He has been winning them in buckets lately. And if you look at the daily racing form as well, when the jockey-trainer pair up, this jockey trainer in particular, it's a 31% success rate. So I think that there's a lot to like here with this filly today. I like Spring Sour's chances a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Just on the team. Michael, been asking all the guests this morning and expect to keep asking guests all week because it was a very good holiday weekend of racing. Starting Wednesday night at Penn National with the venerable Ben's Cat getting it done, then the Fall High Weight, but then, of course, the Clark, which had a great finish between the two logical contenders, but they gave the show people wanted down right to the wire. The Cigar Mile, which had a class cast top to bottom, the 2-year-old races in New York and Kentucky, and the Turf Festival out at Hollywood Park. What were some of the highlights for you from the weekend?
Well, I definitely think that Will Take Charge stamped himself as the top 3-year-old in the country. He didn't do it in the first half of the year when everyone's paying attention to the Triple Crown races, but he certainly did it in the second half of the year. Came also close to winning the Breeders' Cup Classic, did win the Clark, and beat a very game on Dude, who ran a very nice race himself. So I think Will Take Charge really stamped himself as the top 3-year-old in the country. And I did notice in the racing form as well a story that their connections actually are thinking of still running him at 4, which I think is a great thing. You don't like to see these horses win some of these big races and then get retired. You like to see them continue and maybe build up a little bit of a following and keep their names in the sport and keep interest growing. And I think that's a great thing. And also that Cigar Mile was just an excellent race as well. Flat out just ran a huge race on that day, and so did Private Zone. As a matter of fact, we cannot ignore the race that Private Zone ran at a big price on Saturday. So, as you're right, we had a tremendous weekend of racing, and it was certainly a lot of fun to watch.
And let me ask you this. I talked about it at the top of the show. For me, it'd be a tough call. But there was an article by Don Agris, who writes for the Syndicated Sports Network. It was out there on the Internet this morning. I linked to it on Equidaily. And he asked the question, Will Take Charge seals up a 3-year-old Eclipse. Did he do enough to throw his hat into the conversation for Horse of the Year? And he throws in a quote from Bob Baffert after the Clark that says, Will Take Charge probably should be considered, having beaten Game on Dude. Seems like D. Wayne Lucas thinks he should be considered. I have a tough time pulling the trigger on Will Take Charge. You look at the record, though. I mean, at the end of the year, he certainly put together some nice races. There's no question about it, starting with the Travers and then moving forward. But I just think Wise Dan, I think, and there's a prejudice against turf horses. I understand that, but I still think it'd be tough to pull the trigger on Will Take Charge. But what are your thoughts?
I think if Will Take Charge had gotten up in the Breeders' Cup Classic, you could certainly make a much better argument for him. I mean, losing as narrowly as he did, I know that seems a little difficult to make the case there against him. But the fact of the matter is he did not win the race. And while he did come back and win very nicely with the older horses in the Clark, I do think that Wise Dan's body of work over the course of the entire year is better, and therefore he should be Horse of the Year again. But I think Will Take Charge has a case. I just don't think it's a very substantive case.
But you also make a great point. This is Horse of the Year. It's not Horse of the last 3 months. I mean, Will Take Charge has been great, but you look over the body of, certainly those Triple Crown races stand out as kind of duds this year, whereas there were no duds for Wise Dan. So it's going to be interesting conversation over the next month or so as these Eclipse categories get sorted out. Michael, certainly appreciate the visit this morning. Good luck this afternoon. We'll talk to you next week.
You got it. Talk to you next week.
Michael Chamberlain from Turf Paradise. Before that, Gary Johnson from Beulah Park. We kick things off with our guest, Tony Kalo of Finger Lakes, which again, they're wrapping up their last week. Tony Kalo will join us for the last time. Closing day next Tuesday, Finger Lakes. Just want to remind you one more time, Bet 50, Get 50, still going on. If you don't have a Capital Bets wagering account, sign up now. After you bet your first 50, Capital OTB kicks in another $50. Free money. Capital Cup Championship, Gary Johnson mentioned it as a handicap contest player. He knows all about the contest down here at the Clubhouse Racebook. This Saturday, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. You can find out more information about the upcoming handicapping contest here at the Racebook on CapitalOTB.com. And one more time, I'll remind you, the new Partners 8-Ball Pool League is forming. Be going on Thursday evenings, starting this Thursday, December 5th. If you're an 8-ball pool player, come on down to the Clubhouse Racebook. Again, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. Thursday nights, 8-ball pool league. First matches will start 6:30, held on Thursdays. All right, that's going to wrap things up for Racing Across America for this Tuesday morning. We're every Monday through Friday from 10 until 11 a.m. Right before us, the Handicappers Report, where we hopefully give out some winners. So cash some tickets this afternoon, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.